Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you
Yay.
loud and clear.
Yes. Okay. Well, welcome to our 2022 VirtualCon. I hope everyone's having a good time. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Oh My Gosh. I've been a member of the site for 12 years and part of the volunteer team for 11. I spent 4 of those as a guide, one as a leader, and the past 7 as a protector. I don't think I added that right. Anyhow, my topic for today is what is a protector? The easy answer is we are volunteers for the site. We're not the popo, we're not the police. We cannot use handcuffs on you, and we don't do searches of any kind,
But we
no
should
matter
be
how
able
many
to
times you
do
ask.
handcuffs.
It would be a violation of our privacy to do the searches. We joined the site for many of the same reasons you did: sex, social, trying new things we can never do or won't do in real life. And like many of you, we discovered a desire and a knack for helping others. So we joined the volunteer time team. I'm horrible at speaking in case you don't notice, but it is better than my typing. As part of this team, to be a protector, you must first learn how to be a guide, then a leader, then you have the opportunity to be reassigned as a protector. As a guide, we donate our time greeting and helping members. When a new member joins, we reach out to them, offer to answer questions they may have, explain things they need to know and may not ask, and we offer tours. Tours are an amazing way for a member to learn the site because during a tour, we teach them the icons on their screen, how to navigate their social center. We walk them around the site, showing them how doors and ports work. We help them learn how to jump to places on Explore and how to landmark them, as well as how to return from those places. We encourage them to chat in local and to enjoy things like dancing, skating, swimming, and attending parties. Yeah, they'll learn to walk around people. It just takes them a little while to learn that you're actually a real person. As a leader, we still perform all of our guide duties, but we also have the added responsibility of addressing minor issues. We work closely with protectors and staff to learn which issues we can address, how to properly address those issues, and the correct process of reporting it if necessary. We also work closely with guides, helping new guides learn their process and answer their questions. As a protector, we still perform all of our previous duties. We still help, we still tour, and we still teach members whether they're new or old. We work with other volunteers and staff to ensure members receive the proper help, whether it's grieving, decorating, technical, or even just finding a good youth averse event that gives away a free 30-day VIP. We also are responsible for ensuring the rules of conduct are adhered to. These are rules established by World Ops, and we work closely with staff to ensure they are properly imposed. You're probably aware of some of the issues we deal with, like spammers or people flooding local chat, people griefing, members taking advantage of bugs in the game, or in the possession of VIP content while a basic member. Again, these are rules established by World Ops. Our duty involves ensuring they are complied with. As protectors, when addressing an issue, we prefer to handle matters in game. We always approach with the intention of educating you to the rules so that you have the correct information to help you comply with the rules and what we are asking. We give ample time for changes to be made if necessary, and we answer questions you may have regarding the rules. For the majority of the issues we address, banning and disconnections are our last resort. We like you in world, and we do our best to work with you to keep you in world as long as the rules are followed. So, what do you do if you have an issue? Anyone can report an issue. To report an issue, you can locate us in game by using the search tab under the friends icon. If you're unable to locate one of us in game, every member has a repute for abuse button located at the bottom left of their profile. Reporting via the abuse button will allow you to explain the situation and to upload any screenshots you may have. So while some join and find their place in game, hanging out and chatting and making friends, others learn to run a club or join a dance team. Others learn to create homes for people and others to design outfits. We found our niche, helping others as part of the volunteer team. If you have any questions on what we do as a protector, I'll be glad to answer them at this point. I guess that should have sounded more like a lead on.
You're doing great, hon. I'll get a link. Oh, SG got it. The rules for we have three different links for rules. We have the rules of conduct for Red Light Center, Etherverse, and Virtual Vancouver. They're all identical. They're all basically the same, especially the ones for Etherverse and Red Light Center. There's no differences in those. The only one that does have a difference are the rules for Virtual Vancouver. They have one additional one, and that's avatar nudity, because Virtual Vancouver is a no nudity zone. They have that one added rule to it. But other than that, everything else is the same. And Jen, you asked about taking screenshots and sending to World Ops. Um, Always take screenshots. That's key. We can't address anything unless we actually have screenshots, because we need to be able to see that there was a violation. It wouldn't be fair to our members for us to just take your word on it. Not that we think you're lying, but anybody could come up and say, sweet guy called me this and it's a derogatory term. Okay, where's the proof? We need to be able to see that proof. But you don't always have to send it directly to World Ops. If you can use your staff and volunteer search to see if a protector, a community moderator, or a staff moderator is on, and you can message them and we'll ask for the screenshot. So if we're in World, definitely send it to us because it's something that we can handle right away. You want to take that dimension one?
Sorry, I didn't see the dimension one.
That's okay.
But I didn't run into a situation earlier where when you're reporting an issue and you're taking your screenshots, if it is something is dimension related, if you turn on the dimensions window, it helps us because without that open, we can't tell what dimension you're in. So we don't know if it's actually a violation or not.
Yeah, and the violations that we do need dimension windows open for are things like basic members with tattoos. That's something because we do allow them to wear and show off their tattoos in the anything goes and AG role play dimensions, we would need the dimension window open to show that they're in any other dimension other than one of those two. Something like wearing spots and shadows. Um, Also, someone doing kill scripts in a standard dimension or anywhere else other than the AG role play dimension, we do need to have the dimension window showing for those.
Um, Jimmy, if you click, depending on which screen you have, it's either the atoms or the sphere, the D with the spheres around it to the left of the friends icon. If you click that, it opens your dimensions window.
Jimmy. Well, anybody else can ask more questions. I mean, that's what we're here for. It's to give you a better understanding of what our protectors do. And one thing to understand is I know a lot of times people get really upset with our protectors for addressing certain things, rules that they may not agree with, and tell them that, oh, you have nothing better to do than to harass me. We're not harassing you ever. These are protocols and guidelines that World Ops and even Brian himself have put forward for us. These are the rules that Brian wants for the site, Brian and World Ops. We have to follow them. Uh, Whether we think it should be maybe different or whatever, that's not the point. The point is that is the rule of the site, and we have all agreed to these rules. And our protectors are just doing what World Ops has asked them to do, which is if you see these violations, you need to address them. And these are the way we address them. We always try to address everything first in private message. We try not to do it in local chat. The only time we ever do bring it to local chat is if the person that we're messaging is simply not replying to us. We'll do that to get their attention. Then we try to take it back to PM because nobody needs to know their business. Nobody needs to know what we're addressing them on.
Correct. And if your friend is the one that's being harassed, try to encourage them to get a hold of us because we really don't want to discuss their business with you because we shouldn't be and because they need to talk to us so we can explain to them the options that they have, whether it's an ignore situation, a screenshot situation. Do they even know how to take screenshots?
I actually agree about the rules maybe being a little bit easier to find. So maybe that is something we can work on with World Ops and maybe putting it on the profile or maybe even somewhere in World where they will be easy for members to locate, especially if one of us isn't on. to give you that link. So that's a good idea, Jen. I like that. Yep, I fully agree. There should be a very easy way for for anyone to be able to access it. Currently, I go to the World Ops profile and I grab them there. Actually, let me give you that link now that I'm talking about it. This is the World Ops profile where you can find some pretty good information and links to different things. As far as addressing issues in VWWs, the only things that we do address are major ROC violations, like someone being underage, um, threats of hacking, anyone trying to get your personal information, like real life personal information, like credit card information, social security numbers, things like that, as well as what's the other one? Racial racial slurs. Anything else, if it's like if someone's in a private club and they're just being a jerk, the property owner or whoever they have given boot rights to has the ability to remove those people. Um, for little minor things like that. Yeah, you property owners and managers are the ones that we don't address those because you have been given the ability to remove people and to even deny them entry. So you can boot them and then go to the property managers wouldn't be able to because they can't access the profile, but the property owner at some point could go into their own profile and block them from that property so that they can't enter anymore. There are forum rules, and for that we have our moderators. Sweet Guy is the one of the main moderators there on the forums. But yeah, there are forum rules as well. Well, people let them think he scares them. You know, he's after all just Sweet Guy.
Just give him a Dr. Pepper.
Exactly. Well, I wouldn't say attack them, but yeah, people are definitely going to jump at them if they're being racial. That, you know, most people aren't accepting of anyone being racial, anyone being or being racist, excuse me, or being homophobic. Um, but if they are being that way, take screenshots and report them to us. We'll handle it. But we're not saying you can't speak up. Just try to speak up within the rules so that we when addressing them about what they're saying that's wrong and against the rules, we don't end up having to address you as well. Because if you are in violation with anything that you say to them, we will have to address that regardless of what they were saying or doing. Jimmy. Oh, if you only really knew what I'm thinking sometimes.
It depends, Jen. Um, some days I can only do an hour a day. Sometimes I can get two or three in the morning, two or three at night. So it's whatever time we have and can donate.
Yeah, our protectors aren't on a schedule. They are still volunteers, so we allow them, especially, accounting for them having jobs and families. And sometimes you just may not be in the mood to log in. And especially with protectors having to deal with other people's issues and things like that. Sometimes you're just not in the mood and they want to just come in and relax so they won't badge up. So our protectors, just like our leaders and guides and community moderators, excuse me, our guides. Did I say guides? I don't remember. But they all volunteer when and if they can and for however amount of time they want to. Some weeks they'll log in every day for hours at a time, and some weeks they might only be able to log in one day for a couple of hours, sometimes even less. It's just when they can and when they want to. Any other questions? I don't know if I missed any in local. If I did, I apologize. It's never against the rules to hit on Sweet Guy. We encourage every single one of you, men, women, men and women alike, to hit on him as often as possible. Yes, it applies still at staff and volunteer parties. You can hit him too, Jen. We won't. We'll look the other way. We'll pretend we're not looking. And so you guys know, I know like SG and I go back and forth a lot. We're not actually being mean to each other. SG and I adore each other. We've known each other for so long, but we give each other a hard time. It's just a big part of our friendship. He's actually, yeah, he's one of my very best friends, and Vixen too. I mean, Vixen's constantly firing SG, and they quote unquote hate each other, but that's just a big part of how long we've all known each other and how we get along. Tones too, but unfortunately, because of his time zone, he's in Scotland, and he works at a time that hardly any of us are ever around. We just don't get to interact with him quite as much as we used to before.
Yeah, if you want to see tones, you have to get up at the crack of dawn American time.
Yeah, pretty much. I think he works shortly before I'm logging out, and I log out like at 2 a.m. I think he comes in at 1 a.m. PST, and he's on until about 9 or 10 o'clock a.m. PST. So yeah, he's got a time zone where just none of us are around. You know, Jen touched on something with Tones being a Scot. Yes. I remember when the first few times we spoke to him on voice, we had no clue what he was saying and we were trying hard. SG and I would be PMing each other like, what did he say? Did you understand him? We understand him more now because we're used to how he speaks. And I think he also kind of has slowed it down because I think he realized that we just weren't catching because he has a very gruff and thick Scottish accent. Yeah, that's how SG and Vixen get on all the time. But one thing I want you guys to know about our protectors is they really are an awesome bunch, an awesome group of volunteers. They have put in so much time. All of our protectors currently have been with the volunteer program, I think at least 10 years. I don't think there's any one of you that is less than 10 years. So they have been giving years of their time to help enforce the rules of the site. And they do stuff that can be a little bit stressful dealing with some of these situations, but they really, they do it because they want the best for this community, and they just do an awesome job, and they do the best that they can with what's expected of them. So just understand that our protectors really, really care about this community, and they're not harassing anybody. They're just an awesome group of people. We we have so much appreciation for them and for what they do, especially because they're giving their free time to get yelled at a lot of times by members. No one wants to do that. No one wants to be yelled at, especially if they're not being paid to do so. Like, as paid staff, we take it because, like, well, this is my job, just comes with the territory. But our protectors are volunteers. Please understand that they are volunteers giving their free time. And I commend them so much for what they do because they are doing it on their own time.
But Chantel, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. Our training, we have meetings, we learn a lot as a leader, and we work very close with staff mods, constantly asking questions and how to deal with things, also
Hmm.
emailing world ops on how to deal with things.
Yeah,
So we're
we all have a
constantly
very
going through training.
yeah, and we have a very close connection with our protectors because we are. And there's times where I'll even ask them something because there's just so much that we do and so much that we have to know. And there's maybe times where I'll be dealing with an issue that I haven't had to deal with for a very long time, and I'll hit up OMG. I'm like, what do we do here? Or am I doing this right? Like, so even as staff, we'll bug them with questions too. And it's good because it shows that, we trust they're going to give us the correct information. We don't feel like we're above them because we help oversee the program. No, we all work with each other equally. And I know there are many times where, as staff mods, we still see ourselves as volunteers because that's how we started. And we put ourselves in their shoes.
And Paul, there is, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a good deal of paperwork. It's virtual, screenshots, the reports we do online. So we do a good amount of that. It depends on how well you guys behave.
The worst issue, do you know what your worst issue is that you've had to deal with?
People not using ignore. What I
Yeah.
would give for a real life mute or ignore button.
I think the worst issue I've ever had to deal with was we had a member um, years ago who was giving one of our protectors a very, very hard time. He was constantly following him, constantly having just he hated the fact that he was always because he was always being addressed on violations. He just wasn't listening to this protector. I had to deal with him a few times, and he even made a death threat on me. He threatened to find me and kill me, and I mean, World Ops immediately stepped in. So that's another thing too. World Ops always has our back, and they always have our volunteers back. We always have our volunteers back too. We always tell them that in this position, we have to have a thicker skin. That's just the way it is. But we will not tolerate certain things, and we will step in immediately to make sure that all of our volunteers feel safe and that all of our volunteers know that we're just not, if someone calls you a certain little name, okay, no, that's not cool. But again, that's when the thick skin comes in. But if it's going a little too far, if they have a member harassing them, we will immediately step in because the last thing we want is for our protectors or any of our volunteers to feel like they can't come in and enjoy what they're doing because they're having to deal with those things. So we always have their back. But as for worst issues, I mean, I think we could sit here and talk about them all day. I remember the funnest I ever had when I was a protector was way before we had the go there avatar or go there region. It was so much fun trying to get someone that we needed to boot. I mean, we hated the fact that they would run. And this was when it would get to that point that we absolutely had to boot this person. Because as OMG mentioned in her presentation, it's always a last resort for us. Unless it's something like underage, then it's not a last resort. We have to do it. But um we didn't when as soon as a person would take off running, we would be after them, and since we were always in communication with other protectors, they would start trying to catch the person with us. So you always knew when something was going down because all of a sudden you'd see all these protectors enter a region and everyone running around. You just knew. And then it kind of almost became a little contest between us to see who could catch the person first if they were just that quick in getting away from us. Because a lot of us, like me, I had to deal with a lot of lag when I first joined. When I was a protector, I hated it because my computer was crap. I didn't have a good computer at all, so I used to lag bad. So I was constantly getting someone to try to help me get this person. And yeah, we used to have a lot of fun with that.
I have to say that was one of my funnest things being a guide is watching you guys jump, 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 jump. It was always entertaining.
Yes. So it can be a lot of fun while we do have to deal with some stressful situations or whatnot. We still have a lot of fun with it, or we try to.
Even if we're not in world, Paul, they always have backup. They know how to take screenshots, they know how to report it. And sadly, they do have the option to just log off and not deal with it. Hopefully, they're not in the middle of a tour, but they don't have to stand there and take it.
Yeah, and as Chantal's saying, the only the rest of the rest of the volunteers don't have the ability to boot, but yes, and they also are guides. If need be, if it gets to that point where they can't reach one of us online immediately while they can do everything that OMG just said and they know that they should, they can also log out at that moment. We're not ever going to force them to be in a situation where they're uncomfortable, where they're just having someone give them such a hard time. If need be, they can log out and not have to deal with it. But definitely, we still want them to report to us because we don't want them to have to keep dealing with it every time they log in. Any other questions for us today?
Any mental health issues or like self harming threats made in game, we turn those directly over to World Ops.
Yes.
They have abilities of finding and helping people that we don't in game.
And even our protectors at times, even though they have the ability to boot, when they know that booting's not going to help or it's just not appropriate at the moment, they'll message us and let us know what's going on with such and such member, and we'll immediately go and give them support. Like there's been a few times where OMG's told me, she's having an issue with, while addressing such and such member. I'll go and I won't be like all like Rambo and try to take over. No, I'll be there to support her to show that, especially because a lot of times some members don't want to listen to what a protector is asking them to do and why they're asking them to do that. I'll be there to make sure that they understand that yes, our protector is correct. Sometimes they'll message me, oh, your protector's harassing me. Oh, your protector's doing this. And I will always back up. All of us will always back up our protectors and let them know that what such and such protector has told them is the correct thing and they need to listen to them. So we make sure that our protectors are getting the respect that they very much deserve. We always like to try to be there to back them up for anything. And I see the two troublemaker protectors over in the hiding in the corner, Tasty and Gamina, I think it is. I call her Gams. Just makes it easier.
Yes. And Jimmy, a club owner has the house rules to give you the option to be able to boot people out of the club.
Text rats. We do debrief each other. A lot of times we'll be in PM with each other. OMG's in my PM a lot, talking to me, and sometimes not even about the bad stuff. You know, she'll PM me if she had a good experience with a member dealing with someone that maybe she thought was going to be difficult to deal with, and and she'll tell me what how that went, and it's good. We like to hear that they're having good experiences as well. But yeah, a lot of times we talk to each other about difficult issues that we had to deal with. Well, especially because we want them to be able to vent. We don't want them to hold it all in. Kind of like a therapist who has a therapist, they go and they talk to their therapist about the issues they've had to deal with. We encourage our volunteers to do that with us as well because it helps. It helps to vent. It helps to get that off their chest. Ah, those two. And I don't, I think it was Paul who asked, I don't know that we've ever had someone um, actually have a certified Tourette's issue that we've ever had to deal with. That's another thing too, is a lot of times when we're having to deal with certain things, when someone will tell us, it's like, okay, one big thing that we deal with is racial slurs. The use of the N word is not tolerated here at all in any form, even as a greeting. We just don't tolerate it because for us, that word is just wrong. It should just never be used. And a lot of times we'll have someone tell us, oh, well, I'm Black and I use it all the time. That very well may be, but one, we can't verify that you are or aren't. But two, we just don't feel that that word should be used by anybody. So again, or back when micro and mini weren't allowed in dimensions other than the anything goes dimension, we used to have people tell us, well, I'm a midget in real life. How do we know this? I can't verify that. And we would have people tell us that just to be able to get away with being micro in real life, or excuse me, being micro here on the site. Thankfully that changed and we can be micro anywhere. Otherwise I'd have to be tall. I wouldn't be able to, be all cute and standing on the podium right now. But we get people try to give us all kinds of excuses all the time, and the rules are the rules for a reason, and they have to apply to everybody regardless. Any other questions? No, we don't want that because I don't know that I would measure up to the Disney ride rulers. I'm very short in real life. I'm not a dwarf. I'm not a midget. I am very short in real life. See, SG's been calling me a keychain for years. No, it's good. We're glad that they changed that because a lot of people like the micro size, and furry. Furry wasn't allowed either. Furry had its own dimension a few years back, and that's allowed now as well. So that's good. I don't know why we still have it. I know back then it was because furries weren't allowed anywhere other than the furry dimension. Now, I just don't think it should even be its own dimension because it's allowed anywhere. Furry, Nico, and Micro Mini are allowed everywhere on the site now. Just like I think on the customized menu, Micro and Mini still have the AG next to us and that next to it, and that was always to indicate that those were, even though, a new member wouldn't know what that is, but that was to indicate that those two sizes were only allowed in the anything goes dimension. BDSM, they have separated because there are certain things that Brian still, or, they still don't want to have in the other dimensions. They want to keep that to the BDSM, like someone kneeling, excuse me, like a sub, a pet, slave kneeling before their dom, master, mistress, um, and the person's telling them to rise. And when they're doing that whole role play thing, or not even role play, because for some people it's not role play, but when they're doing those things, they want that kept to BDSM. That's why the BDSM dimension is still around. They really shouldn't. I mean, the kneeling, some people will kneel, but they'll do their, you may rise and all that. They'll do that in PM. I don't address the kneeling because sometimes someone's just kneeling just to be silly. I've had people kneel before me just being silly. I used to entice gams all the time just to be silly. It's harder to tell if they're just joking around or really doing it, in a BDSM fashion, if they're not typing anything in local, saying, where you can clearly see that they are. So the kneeling is not something we'll usually address. It's more when they're being vocal about it in local that we'll just kind of give them a polite little tap on the shoulder and let them know. Well, first of all, no, I don't know that we can hot RNT ban the DJs from playing music with the N word. It would be hard because there's no way to get a screenshot of that. Oh, thank you, you wish. We're glad to see there are people out there who do appreciate our protectors. They really do an awesome job. And I hope that today's presentation has shown you or giving you a better understanding of what they do and how hard they actually do work at what they do. Have I missed any other questions in local? I'm sorry if I have. Dance teams flooding local and private venues, Jen? Well, flooding isn't allowed anywhere in the UV, RLC, VV owned regions. So dance teams would most likely be in at events or private venues. I mean, they're the dance team. They're doing what they're up there doing. Um, I mean, I that's not really something we. Yeah, because the dance teams are usually up there. That part of what they do isn't just there to physically have their avatars dancing, they're emoting while they're dancing because a lot of times they're stripping and that's not necessarily considered flooding. It's part of chat. Yeah, but again, dance teams a lot of times get hired to kind of get people in the mood for the party. And that's what they're doing with that. Flooding is usually something that's, repetitive, like a constant that. or something else that they're just repeating over and over and over, the same line over and over and over again, just filling chat with it.
It's not really false population. They're hired to work. They're being paid to be there. And I think part of hiring them is the chat that goes with them. It can be, Lilo. I have addressed people that are friends. Some take it really well, some not so well. If it's somebody that I think is going to be an issue, like a really, really good friend, I don't address it. I take it to Laura or another protector and let them handle it.
And here's the way I look at it too. Someone who is really our friend is not going to put us in a situation where we have to address them. They should know our position with the site already. They should know that we are here to do our job, and we have protocol that we have to follow by World Ops and by Brian himself. And we're here to do that regardless of who you are. Um, I'm going to address you. We're going to address you if we have to. Yes, we do tell our protectors, if it is someone you know really well and you don't feel comfortable addressing it, by all means, pass it on to us. But just don't ignore it. Don't look the other way, turn a blind eye to it like it's not happening, because that's not fair to the rest of our members. We have to address it. But again, if someone's really our friend, they will understand and respect what we are here to do. And they're not going to violate the rules. I've had to boot friends who have joked about being underage. Like, oh, really? Like, I know they're not. I know they're like a 43-year-old man, but the simple fact that they joked about it, we have to boot them. It's hard, but we have to do it. We can't pretend like it just didn't happen.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's one of the worst things.
And I'm the same with SG. I am much harder on the people that I'm close to because, again, they know.
Jimmy, how much can they really drink?
Well, hell, if it's over 99, I think over half of our members are in their hundreds by now, aren't they? According to the profiles. Wolfie, I think, is just over 100 anyway in real life, but Okay, any other questions? Because we are running very, very short on time. I think there might be a presentation at noon, and we're getting ready to wrap this up. So anything else we can answer for you quickly right now?
Oh, that's sweet. Is there someone that's sitting trans that's in her mid 70s? It's the trees, Oz. It's always the trees.
Or the plants and trans? Any other questions? If not, then going once, going twice. Ask us now or forever hold your peace and never ever ask us a question again. Kidding. I'm kidding about that, by the way. Yes, to the lady in the second row. That would be Adela 92. She gets to keep us from now on. But I personally want to thank OMG for doing this. This is her first time doing a presentation, and I think she rocked it. I think she did a really great job with her introduction and in answering questions. And thank you everyone for coming out to listen to us. And we hope you've gotten a better understanding of what our awesome protectors do on a daily basis and have been doing for years.
Thank you, Laura. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming and listening. And I hope you enjoyed the rest of the VirtualCon.
Yes, keep checking it out. We still have more more speakers today, and then the awards show today I think is at 5, I believe. But yeah, one more day of virtual conventionness, and then it's a wrap. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Flutterfly, when you're VIP, always save outfits without tattoos. That way, if you are green for whatever reason, you always have nice outfits you like that don't have tats.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's a good idea to save a few without the tats, definitely. Good tip. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Adios. Oh, and OMG will be signing autographs in the lobby.
I
You can
scribble.
you can go to Sweet Guy for merchandise.
I'll steal
Bye.
TJ's crayons.
Bye, everyone.